it's funny, Patty, you brought up comparison. I want to read a study that some information that I got. Pew Research Center says that 69% of adults and 81% of teens in the US use social media. I know we talked about social media a little bit earlier, but this was just a great segue when you started talking about comparison. Because being on social media so much in the world that we live in, to your point, is a lot of the reasons why we compare ourselves so often, and we are so triggered, right? And we are trying to keep up with the Joneses. So I do want to talk about that, and I want to dive into that a little bit more. Do you think that because we're on social media so much, that has heightened, this hustle culture and this life of comparison that we live in now?
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, yeah, of course. And I think what's really interesting is in different sectors, right? I'm sure in media, it's all about views and likes and whoever's getting the most traction, and you don't got no buzz and you ain't shit and all that. Actually, from your world, there's one example I have not stopped thinking about. Speedy Mormon, I love Speedy in the entertainment space. He is funny, he is real. I just love his energy, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
was talking on TikTok Live, and he told a story about how when he was on his way up and he was looking up to people and giving those compliments, they looked the other way. But when they were on their way down, they certainly were looking back up and raising their hands back up, right? And I think that's a very big issue across all sectors in social media presence, because you think because someone has some sort of traction that they're doing better than you, or that you have to reach up to them for some help, and they're going to look at you, whatever that is. You don't need anybody but yourself. Believe in exactly what you're doing and continue to build in those small segments, and don't compare the numbers. A lot of those numbers aren't even real. A lot of that information isn't real. A lot of those numbers aren't real. Another great example of that, which kind of stung me a little bit today, there was a report, and a reporter is exposing Jay Shetty, because Jay Shetty Jay Shetty himself.
I love him.
Me
What?
too.
He was accused of massive amounts of plagiarism and a lot of other little things that he completely declined to interview and address, because a lot of what he was saying was being fabricated, and a lot of what he was saying was being copied. So he's doing the copy and paste model, fabricating some of the growth in his life. And when he was presented with those facts, he didn't want to take the interview, right? So you guys have to remember, I tell my daughter this all the time when she's scrolling, baby, they're advertising. Everybody's selling something to you. You are in a world of constantly being sold. And for where I'm from, it's either wait, so you just know better, right? So
Yeah.
so you just that game is hard for these young people out here on social media. And so, of course, and the fact that you shared about the 69% of adults being on social media, 81% of teens. You know what the biggest difference is? Obviously, age, right? So the younger the age group is, the more acclimated they are to getting their information from social media. TikTok is the new Google, right? TikTok changed the game for a lot of places. TikTok has a lot of information, but you can't rely on that information. You have to be able to know the difference. So, of course, from a comparison standpoint, from an accuracy standpoint, from the way that you look at someone and you degrade yourself while you're laying there and they're putting on a show. You got to remember that. You just have to remember that. There's another saying that I'd like to just finish this thought with, is that they say, don't ever meet your idols. You go out here and you meet your idols and they're nothing like you thought they were going to be on social media.
So
It's
true.
crazy. So, baby, do not put me on a pedestal. Please don't ever put me on a pedestal. And whoever you got on a pedestal, cut the legs off right now, because whatever you're comparing yourself to is not worth your time, not worth your energy. And we all got to stop doing that.
That's real. That's real. Whew.
Preach,
Well,
Patty.
also just some additional data. Back in October, it was published that Facebook, or Meta, is being sued by 41 states for making their algorithms addictive. Addictive. It's that unhealthy. It is literally that unhealthy.
And
So
that's so interesting, Kalani. Y'all, we do get down on teenagers because of this addiction that they have, right, to social media. But we also have to take into mind they were born into a world that they don't know anything different. We at least have
Exactly.
something to compare it to. We at least actually lived in the world of reality at some point. They literally have never been outside of this world. So that's all they know. One. Two, we do get down on teenagers a lot too, but I can even attest, I have been on social media before and like my heart is in my stomach and me not realizing why, because all of a sudden I'm feeling so far behind, or I'm like, dang, I got to do more, or that, you know what I mean? Or the pressure of like, I didn't post today. Like there's a level of you're feeling like you're going to be irrelevant, especially from the world that I come from. Right. And so I think your reminder, Patty, is really a reminder, not just for the teens, but for all of us,
Yes.
that it is a lot of storytelling. This is a big highlight reel, right? And half of the highlights are not true. I try to tell the kids when I go speak at schools all the time. I'm not even joking, you guys. I actually know people that when you're on their page, you are like, this is the life that I want to live. I'm talking about Lamborghini trucks. I'm talking about big houses, got
Talk
the
about
body, the
it.
this, the that. But the reality of it is some of these people have called and asked to borrow money. You get what I'm saying? And that's the part that you
Speak on
don't,
it.
I mean,
That's
let's
it
just
for
keep it
real.
real, you know? So that's the
Right.
part that we live in such a society that's microwave. And if we learn delayed gratification and actually grasp that concept and taught our kids delayed gratification. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. You know, growing up, I wasn't able to have like all of the name brand Jordans and the this and the that, but my friends did. And I used to think my parents were so freaking mean. I'm like, fam, you got me out here looking crazy. You know what I mean? But now, fast forward, because I didn't know that I was learning delayed gratification at that time. Now, everybody who used to get whatever they wanted, all the name brand and this and that when we were younger, they really may not value money and as much as somebody who was not able to get everything when they were younger. So just a couple of different concepts I wanted to touch on too. So, but thank you for that reminder, Patty.
You just said something so important. I was reading this, Kalani, when I was looking at the wealth gap, and Asians are right up there with white people. Okay, Asians covers Indian communities, Chinese communities, Vietnamese communities, Asians. The wealth gap needs some serious looking at. We need to talk about that more next time, Kalani. But I wanted to point out something. I sat there and I thought to myself, why are Asians so outstanding in closing this wealth gap? Because they come from such poverty in their countries that when they come here, the level of focus and work ethic is one thing. It's one thing, because I would argue that all of us know what it takes to work hard. But the difference is when you don't have nothing, you're almost afraid that you're never going to have nothing again, right? It's the way that they do not spend a dime on interest. It's the way that they will not spend an extra fee. It's the way that they'll travel 5 miles the other way to save $5. And that some of those things we really need to talk about to understand, going back to what Nasima said. It's really not about needing more. It's about looking at what you have differently and cutting it. This is a process of purification I've done with myself year after year after year after year. Because if there was a poster child for trying to be ghetto fabulous, it would be me.
So what are those habits that get passed down generationally, right? I think that there's something to be said for having access to the information, or even that mindset to be able to accomplish the things that the Asian community has accomplished. But before we move on too much from that, I want to say something. Jade, you brought up the fact that people are marketing with Lamborghinis and designer and all of the things. If there is anything that gets under my skin, that makes my skin crawl, that jams my Glock, it is lifestyle marketing. Okay, it is lifestyle marketing. I can't stand it because yes, I said jams my Glock. Shout out to the guy on TikTok that made that a thing for me, but I cannot stand it because I feel like it's okay. I want everybody to hear this from me. It's okay for your goals not to be that. That doesn't make you, that status for you doesn't make you anything. It doesn't determine your value. And any person I know that actually has money is not really out here in the Lambo like that. They're not dripped out in designer 24 hours a day. They're not out here with
Actually,
crazy
the most
jewelry.
common car for the richest people are Toyotas and Hondas.
Toyotas and Hondas. So it's okay for you to aspire to things that provide stability to your life and to your family. That is totally 100% irrevocably okay. And I feel like more people need to aspire to that. Now, one of the things that we said when we decided to come together as this group of 4 women that can talk to these things and speak to these topics is that we wanted to keep it real, right? And so we're talking about social media. We're talking about the highlight reels of what we see and how we compare ourselves, right? And even somebody as accomplished as Patty Goodspeed, top 100 mortgage banker in the country, right? Top 100. That's a big deal. Lady Jade, 20-year vet in the radio and media industry, killing it. Nasima, financially literate, has paid off over $1 million worth of debt, right? I'm sitting here with
And
these
we'll show up
people.
to the HR with her attorney. That part.
No, but seriously, I'm sitting here on a panel with esteemed, accomplished women, and we said we were going to keep it real. And the truth is that it's not all glamorous. Whatever you see on our social medias or whatever you think it's like to be the co-founder of Women in Real Estate or whatever, it's not what you think it is. So I'm gonna stop there because I feel like I'm
No, it was good.
I'm
So
telling
No,
somebody
that's
off. I don't know
good.
who.
I think you just shared